all the eyes in the world look to the Creator for nourishment, because He gives nourishments to all and feeds all. As it is written, the eyes of all wait for you. 445. And should you say that it depends on a place called heavens, Zeranpin? We learned that nourishment does not depend on merit. Also, we said that merit is tzedakah, which is Zeranpin, since the translation of tzedakah is merit, and merit and heavens are one and the same. Thus, it does not depend on the heavens, Zeranpin. But here it writes, drip down, O heavens. It writes from above, from heaven above. This means that it comes from the Holy Atik, who is Arichanpin, from which the nourishment extends, and not from the place called heavens, and called merit, but rather precisely from above. 446. This is so because when the heavens, Zeranpin, receive the food from above, from a high place that is on him, meaning Alechanpin, from Dikna, which is called fortune, then the skies shall pour down righteousness. The sky is the place where man, for the righteous, is grinded. It is Netzach and Hod. They grind man for the righteous, for that place called Tzadik, righteous, Yesod. This is so because they grind man that comes from above, from Arichanpin, and all that bounty gathers within them to give to the degree called Tzadik, Yesod, so that Tzedek, Malchut, will be blessed by that dripping of theirs. This is why they grind man for the righteous. The righteous are Tzadik and Tzedek, Joseph and Rachel, Yesod and Malchut. When they mate, they are called Tzadikim. 447. Those Netzach and Hod grind man for the righteous, Tzadik and Tzedek. And this is why it writes, the skies, Netzach and Hod, shall pour down Tzedek. Then the earth below shall open, that they may bring forth salvation, meaning the people of the world, and righteousness shall spring up together, meaning that all the rachamim and all the goodness in the world will multiply, and the nourishment for people will be abundant in the world. Then joy will be added to joy, and all the worlds will be blessed. Title, My Heart is for the Governors of Israel. 448. My heart is for the governors of Israel, that offered themselves willingly among the people. Bless the Lord. All the willingness and all the heart that a man needs to extend blessings from above downwards to unite the holy name, he needs to extend in a prayer to the Creator, willingly and with the intention of the heart, from a deep stream, Bina. It is written about it, out of the depths have I called you, O Lord, where it is the depth of all in the high valleys, which are the high beginning, where Abba Ve'ima, Chochmah and Bina, in Bina, meet. Here too, my heart is for the governors of Israel, refers to Abba Ve'ima, who are the governors that give mochin to the holy Israel, Zeranpin, who extends from between them. 449. That offered themselves willingly among the people are the patriarchs, Chagat de Zeranpin, who are called princes. As it is written, the princes of the peoples are gathered together, the people of the God of Abraham, meaning the patriarchs that extend from Abraham, Chesed de Zeranpin. Then bless the Lord, extend blessings from him downwards, and there will be blessings in the whole world. This is so because when there are blessings from above, in this world below, everything is in gladness. All is in perfection, since no light is complete unless when it is extended down to this world. Happy are Israel, for the Creator imparts upon them blessings and listens to their prayer. It is written about them, when He has regarded the prayer of the destitute and has not despised their prayer. Starting Tzav, command. This is the law of the burnt offering. 1. Command Aaron and his sons, saying, "This is the law of the burnt offering." This burnt offering elevates and connects the assembly of Israel above and its rikvut, adhesion with the next world, Bina, thus making everything one, in one connection, in joy. And because it rises up to Bina, it is written, "This is the law, male and female, together, Zeranpin and Malchut, written Torah and oral Torah, rising in love to Bina, since this is Malchut, the oral Torah, and law is Zeranpin, the written Torah." 2. When the north side awakens, Gvura, the Zeranpin, the left line, it is written, "His left is under my head," meaning that Malchut receives from the left line of Zeranpin, then the Malchut rises with love and crowns in the right of Zeranpin, Chesed, and connects in the middle line of Zeranpin, Tiferet de Zeranpin, and everything shines from within the Holy of Holies, Bina. This is from within man, by the will of the priests, the right line, and with the prayer of Israel, the middle line, and the song of the Levites, the left line. 3. A burnt offering is the Holy of Holies, the upper Ruach, Bina, since 3 Ruchot, plural of Ruach, are tied together in the offering. A. The lower Ruach is called the Spirit of Holiness, Malchut. B. The Ruach in the middle is called the Spirit of and Bina, Zeranpin, a son to Chochmah and Bina. Also, it is called the lower Ruach, since it is lower compared to Bina. However, this Ruach and their slaughter is in any place. However, an offering, that is the Holy of Holies, is not as the rest of the sacrifices, for all its deeds are holiness. 5. And the priest shall put on his linen garment. These are special garments for Kedusha. Bad, a cloth or linen, like badad, alone or isolated, which is dedicated to Kedusha. It is written, "And he shall bathe his flesh in water and wear them." Holy is the Holy of Holies, when everything rises and crowns in the Holy of Holies, Bina, in one connection. Afterwards, the spirit of impurity, which defiles everything, passes away and does not govern or approach the temple. It passes from all the sides of Kedusha, and everything remains only in holiness. Turtle doves and young pigeons. Item 6. Man and beast you deliver, O Lord. Thus man rises from the side of man through the desire and the prayer. And a beast from the side of the beast is sacrificed on the altar. This is why it is written, "If a man of you bring any offering." Indeed, man's offering is of the desire and the prayer to tie a connection above as man, and then from the beast. It is all in the verse, "Man and beast you deliver, O Lord." That man's offering and an offering of a beast are required. This is what the Creator did when He created the world, man and beast. 7. But it is written, "Let birds fly above the earth. Sacrifices are made of them, and even burnt offerings." As it is written, "But if his offering to the Lord is a burnt offering of birds, then he shall bring his offering from the turtle doves or from young pigeons." Thus with birds it is not quite as you say about the beast. Of all the fowls, only turtle doves and young pigeons are sacrificed. However, what is kosher is in one is disqualified in the other. The red is kosher in turtle doves and disqualified in young pigeons. The young pigeons are right side, turtle doves are left. Hence, red is kosher in it because it implies to the left. 8. Let birds fly above the earth are the Merkava, angels Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, and Raphael, who are called fowl. The spirit of holiness, Malchut, rises in them, ascending above to Zeranpin for a zivug. There are two,
one to the right and one to the left. Birds to the right, Michael, and will fly to the left, Gabriel. 9. This is why you are sacrificed. This is why two are sacrificed. Turtle doves and young pigeons, Michael and Gabriel, to elevate the spirit of holiness, Malchut to Zeranpin. And the left of Zeranpin crowns and feeds below to the left side of Malchut, and the right to the right. And a woman connects to her husband, Malchut and Zeranpin, to become one. And everything rises and connects together, above and below, and the Creator rises and is sublime alone. 10. The poor who sacrifices turtle doves and young pigeons does not give a share to nourish the worlds, but to unite above. However, everything is above and below, each connecting to his side.
11. Title: How high does the dvikut of the priests, Levites, and Israel rise? Item 11. The tie of everything is tied in the Holy of Holies, in Bina. To illuminate, how high does the dvikut of the desire of the priests and the Levites and Israel rise? 12. Their dvikut rises through Ein Sof, because any connection and unity and perfection is to conceal in humbleness, which is unattained and unknown, and in which there is the desire of all desires. Ein Sof is not about to become known or to become finite, nor is it to be a beginning. It is not like Ein, not Ketel, the first, who is elicited a Rosh, the head or beginning, and a Sof, end. Rosh is the uppermost point, the hidden Rosh of everything, which stands within the thought, Chokhmah, who is called Reshit, which is called Reshit, beginning. Also, Chokhmah was emanated from the Ketel, who is called Ein, and made Sof. Malchut, who is called the end of the matter, but in Ein Sof there is no Sof, end. 13. There are neither desires nor lights, nor candles in Ein Sof. All those lights and candles in Atzilut depend on Ein Sof. They exist in them, but they are not to be attained. Those are known and unknown, that can be spoken of in terms of knowing, are but the high, concealed desire, which is called Ein, Ketel, but in Sof, there is no knowing whatsoever. 14. When the uppermost point, Chokhmah, and the next world, Bina, rise in their illumination, they know only scent, Vak de Chokhmah, and not Gal de Chokhmah, as one who smells a scent and is perfumed. This is not considered contentment, which is considered fragrances, as it is written, "And I will not smell your sweet odors." Thus, scent and fragrance are two things. A fragrance means the smell of the desire, meaning all those desires of prayer, the desire for singing, and the will of the priest. All of them are man, and they all become one will. And that one is called fragrance, desire. Then everything connects and illuminates together as it should. 15. This is the reason why this other side was given to the priest. As it is written, "Command Aaron and his sons, saying, This is the law of the burnt offering." A command is always idolatry, sitra achra, and here it was made possible for him to burn that evil thought and remove it from the Kedusha by that desire that rises up, with that smoke, and with those burning milks, to remove them from the holiness. And that command, the Sitra Achra, stands in their authority to separate him from the holiness through this sacrifice. However, it is written, "Command the children of Israel." How can it be interpreted that command is the Sitra Achra? The Sitra Achra stood in their authority. For as long as Israel do their Maker's will, the Sitra Achra cannot govern them. 16. Command Aaron comes to crown that spirit of holiness up above, separate the spirit of impurity and lower it down from Israel. by desire and prayer, and from the priests in the act of sacrificing the sacrifice, each by what is appropriate for him. 17. This verse proves about them, for it is written, "Command Aaron and his sons," saying, "Command" is idolatry, the spirit of impurity. Saying is a woman who is regarded as fearing the Creator, Malchut. This is why everything was said to crown the Malchut and to lower the Sitracha, and the priest is posed to correct everything. As it is written, "Man and beast you deliver, O Lord."
This is the law of the burnt offering. 18. Happy are the righteous in this world and the next world, who know the ways of Torah, and who follow it on the path of truth. It is written about them, "The Lord, by them they live." By them are the ways of Torah. Live means that they will exist in this world and in the next world. 19. It's written, "This is the law of the burnt offering." This is the law, is the assembly of Israel. Malchut, the burnt offering, rises and is crowned up above to connect, up to the place called the Holy of Holies, Binah. 20. This is the law, is the assembly of Israel, Malchut. The burnt offering is an evil thought that comes up in one's thought to divert him from the way of truth. It is the burnt offering that rises and slanders a person, and must be burnt in fire to not allow it to slander. 21. This is why it is written on its firewood upon the altar all night. Night is the assembly of Israel, Malchut, which comes to purify the man from that desire. On its firewood, since the river of fire is a place to burn all those who are not present in their existence, the Sitracha. For they are taken through the burning fire, and their governance is removed from the world. To prevent it from ruling, it must be on its firewood upon the altar all night. And then it surrenders and does not rule. 22. Hence, when the Sitracha surrenders, the assembly of Israel, Malchut, rises. This is the spirit of holiness. For this rises and crowns above, because her ascent is while that other force surrenders and parts from her. This is the reason why an offering is needed, to separate the Sitracha from the spirit of holiness, the Malchut, and to give her a part, so the spirit of holiness will rise upward. 23. And the fire upon the altar shall be kept burning in it. It shall not go out, and the priest shall kindle wood on it first thing in the morning. Fire is din. The priest comes from the right side, far from the din. The priest is never present in din. And here he must light up the din in the world, for he must burn the wood, as it is written, and the priest shall kindle wood on it.
24. A person who comes to sin before his master burns himself in the flame of the evil inclination. The evil inclination comes from the side of the spirit of impurity. But the spirit of impurity is in him. Also, it is known that sometimes his offering comes from this side, a goat that must be sacrificed on the altar, which is akin to a sinner. It is not consumed and does not revoke that spirit of impurity, neither from the sinful person nor from that side from which it comes, but only in the fire of the altar. This fire uproots the spirit of impurity and evil kinds from the world, and a priest intends it to establish the fire, clear out evil kinds from the world. This is why it requires a priest to do it, since he is from the right, and the right clears out the left. 25. Hence it must never be put out, but an internal, An eternal fire must burn in it so that power and might in it will not wane, and it will be able to break the power of the other, evil force from the world. This is why it is written, "It shall not go out," and a priest will set up the fire on it first thing in the morning, when his side governs, for in the morning the right side governs, and awakens in the world, to perfume the world by setting up the fire on the altar. Thus, the dinim will surrender and will not awaken in the world. We learned about it that there is fire that consumes fire. This is because the fire above of Malchut consumes another fire. The fire of the altar consumes another fire, that of the other side. For this reason, this fire will never go out, and the priest sets it up each day. 26. It is a mitzvah to make the offering according to the rule. It is said about it, "This is the law of the burnt offering." 5 kinds of fire would come down upon the offering. 1. Fire that eats but does not drink. 2. Fire that drinks but does not eat. 3. Fire that eats and drinks. 4. Fire that eats moist and dry. 5. Fire that neither eats nor drinks. Opposite that are 1. This is the law of the burnt offering. 2. That which goes up on its firewood. 3. Upon the altar. 4. All night. 5. And by which the fire of the altar burns. The 5 dinim are called 5 fires. 3 are in Chagat above the Chazeh, extending from the 3 sewings, called Cholam, Shuruk, and Hirik, and 2 are from the Chazeh down. The first is in Netzach and Hod and Yesod, extending from the Masach at the point of Chazeh, and the second one is in Malchut. The dinim in the 3 lines Chagat above the Chazeh are considered fire that does not burn but only eats, meaning that it extends Chasadim, but the 2 fires from the Chazeh and below burn the external ones. It is known that extending Chasadim is called eating. An extension of the Chokhmah on the left line is called drinking. Fire that eats and does not drink is the dinim on the right line, extending from the point of Holam, which eats. Extending the mochin de Chasadim and does not drink means that it does not extend Chokhmah. Fire that drinks and does not eat is the dinim on the left line, which extend from the point of Shuruk, which drinks, meaning that it extends mochin de Chokhmah and does not eat, meaning that it does not extend Chasadim, because the left is Chokhmah without Chasadim. Fire that eats and drinks is the dinim on the middle line, which extend from the point of Chirik, which eats, meaning extends Chasadim, as well as drinks, meaning extends Chokhmah as well, since it consists of both lines, right and left, and has the merit of both of them. Thus far it refers to above the Chazeh. However, below the Chazeh there is fire that eats moist and dry, meaning the dinim in the He, which extend from the Masach in the Chazeh, which eats and burns the klipot on the right, which are moist, having some moisture of light. It eats and burns the klipot on the left, which are completely dry. Also, there is fire that neither eats nor drinks. This is the dinim in Malchut that do not extend any light, neither of Chokhmah nor of Chasadim, since Malchut itself has no light at all, except that which Zeranpin gives to her. And opposite that are the 5 divisions in the verse, "This is the law of the burnt offering." This is the law of the burnt offering is the right line, chesed, opposite the first fire. It is that which goes up on its firewood, is the left line, gvura, opposite the second fire. This is why it is firewood, is mentioned here. Upon the altar is the middle line, tiferet, since the altar is malchut, and on the altar is above the altar, tiferet, corresponding to the third fire. All night is the Masach that governs from the Chazeh down, which belongs to Malchut, who is called night, corresponding to the fourth fire, and by which the fire of the altar burns, is the Din of Malchut herself, who is called altar, corresponding to the fifth fire. 27. An offering rises entirely to the High One. This is Bina, the first hay of Havaya. She is named so after her 5 mirrors, the 5 fires that extend from Bina to Zon. Yod is an only daughter, the pupil of the eye, Malchut, of whom it was said, the appearance of the glory of the God of the Lord was like a consuming fire. However, for itself, Malchut is fire that neither eats nor drinks, but Vav, Tiferet, the middle line, eats and drinks. He is the light of the pupil of the eye. And when Malchut receives from Vav, she is also fire that drinks all the waters of the Torah and eats all the offerings in the prayer, receiving from the Vav all 3 fires of Chagat that are included in it. She also receives from the 4th fire in Nehi, of the Vav from the Chazeh and below. Hence, she eats moist and dry like the 4th fire. She continues the literals of the Torah, which are as dry as wood, and extends the secrets of the Torah, which are as moist wood. By burning the klipot on the left, which are dry, the literals of the Torah are extended, and by burning the klipot on the right, which are moist, the secrets of Torah are extended. This is the fire that eats moist and dry. 28. We should interpret it, eats moist, as all the offerings that are offered for the positive mitzvot. Through the prayer, as in, so will we render for bullocks the offering of our lips. Eats dry refers to all the offerings that were offered during prayer. For the negative mitzvot, commends the one for which the punishment is 4 deaths: stoning, burning, killing, and suffocating. These are the offerings for the positive mitzvot, and for the negative mitzvot, these are the offerings of divinity, which is called prayer, coming for the positive and negative mitzvot. And opposite those 5 mirrors which extend from Bina, 5 prayers have been established on Yom Kippur. Opposite the pupil of the eye, the Malchut, Yod, are the 10 penitential days. The first hay of Havaya is the light of the pupil of the eye, which extend to her from the Vav. The 5 torments on Yom Kippur, when they do not eat or drink, correspond to the bottom hay of Havaya, Malchut herself, which neither eats nor drinks.
Are there any questions? No? Yes?
I wanted to ask, what does it hint to when the Zohar is working, and when it means the fire?
Fire? That's actually the light of Chokhmah without Chasadim. The light of Chokhmah, it just depends where it emerges from and what conditions are in it.
It's not very clear to me.
What?
What does it mean, the fire of Chokhmah? We're not talking about the 6 Sfirot here.
No, Chokhmah, I'm telling you, altogether there's the light of Chokhmah and the light of Chasadim. There's no more than that. All the rest depends on how they're clothed. So fire is Gvurot. Gvurot is the light of Chokhmah without the clothing of Chasadim, in general. Because the light of Chasadim makes them already mitigated Gvurot, and there are many. There's a whole line of results from the fire, but the fire itself is Gvurot without Chasadim. That's it, yes? So, we will try again as much as possible to be together, and we will continue. Yes?
I wanted to ask if there's a feeling that I feel a great difficulty to hold on to the intention of Kavanah while we're reading, even trying to be in the text while the reader is reading, but you have this great impression from the book. How do I progress from here? How do you progress?
You can't examine yourself how you're advancing according to the Zohar. No. It's a virtue. In virtue, you don't see results. You see the long-term results and all kinds of events that you can see, etc., but not in your intellect or in your feelings. Not in a direct manner. That's why the Zohar is read simply. We simply believe the sages who said that this is a virtue. That's it. What's written here, you can't understand, because today we have already many explanations to what's written here. Let's say what we spoke now about the offerings, about the dinim of the left, the dinim of the right, and so on. That already has explanations, but in general, it's not worthwhile, because the Zohar has the force in it by expecting salvation. Otherwise, you're limiting the light that comes to you. If you invert it to something that could be associated with the height of your mind or your intellect or your feeling, it spoils it already, it limits it. So accept it as it is and let it wash me. Please.
Title: Offering, Sin, and Blame. 29. The mitzvah that follows it is to make the sin according to its law. Tanaim and Amoraim, you who come from the qualities of the Creator, who so exerted to clean up my daughter, which is the law, Malchut, from the klipot of the mixed multitude, which are the evil questions that cannot be settled or answered, and of whom it is said, that which is crooked cannot be straightened, and that which is lacking cannot be counted, but were considered undecided in the law. And any indecision in prohibition is resolved toward harshness. It is a tiku, a draw, lacking nun, implying that it has no tikkun. It is lacking the nun, which is the next world, Bina, who has 50 gates. This is so because tiku in the next world is shtika, silence, as in shtok. Thus I have conceived. This means that the correction for it is silence, as the Creator said to Moses, silence, which is tiku, that in the next world with a nun is a tikkun. 30. There are questions that are garments of halakha, the code of law, malchut. It was said of them, the squares of gold. As it is written, the king's daughter is all glorious within. Her clothing is interwoven with gold. This is so because the questions are dinim, which are regarded as engravings, like the squares, and they become garments for malchut. Those dinim cause the disclosure of the chokhmah, and thus the squares of gold, since gold points to disclosure of chokhmah from the left, and you, the Amoraim, determine the garments of the squares in several sentences, and then you correct and settle them in several settlements. 31. And if some chapter is missing from the Mishnah, you correct it. In the places where it says in the Gemara, indeed it is lacking, and so he learns. It is a lack that cannot be counted. And should some fool come and bring a bad name to that craftsman who cuts the clothes and says, but is the Torah deficient? Saying about the Mishnah that it is indeed lacking. After all, it is written, the law of the Lord is whole, complete with all the organs of the body, which are the 248 positive mitzvot. And it is written, you are all beautiful, my wife, and there is not a flaw in you, and she is complete in her garments. So how will it be lacking from the Mishnah? 32. It replies, you will tell him, be precise and find the missing piece. You will find it mingled with the rest of the verses and the paragraphs. Such is the way of Torah. It is poor in this place and rich in another place. The way of the craftsman is to cut the clothes into several pieces, and the absence in this place fills another place. And a student who is not proficient in tying the laws in these pieces, which are elsewhere, the verses and paragraphs become mixed up for him, and he cannot answer them until the craftsman comes and answers all their doubts. At that time the law, which is the daughter, Malchut, rises before the king, complete in everything, in body, in clothes, and in jewelry. And the words, "Then I will look upon it, to remember the everlasting covenant," will come true. And sometimes the craftsman has a well-versed, erudite disciple who sends for them to correct them, meaning Elijah. 33. They all rose up and said, "Moses, you must be the craftsman, for it was said of you, Moses received the Torah out of Sinai, and henceforth all are your disciples, from Joshua to the end of all the generations." This is the meaning of what we learn, and he handed it to Joshua, and Joshua to the elders, and the elders to the prophets, through the last of them, who is a well-versed disciple of yours. After all, it was said, all will be laid down until Elijah comes. Thus Elijah is your well-versed disciple. 34. He told them, "Indeed, so it is, for Elijah is a student friend. It is written about him, Pinchas, son of Eleazar, son of Aaron, the priest. As it was said that Pinchas is Elijah. And as it was said of Aaron, he will be as a mouth for you. So his son, Elijah, will be as a mouth for me. He will establish the oral Torah. This is so because as I was initially slow of speech and slow of tongue, at the time of the end of correction, the Creator will raise me, slow of speech in the oral Torah, and slow of tongue in the written Torah. So those who did not know me will not say it is another. It is written about it, the dead are destined to rise with their flaws, so it will not be said, it is another. And Elijah will be as a mouth for me. He will come to mend all those doubts and answer them. 35. At that time it was said, this is the law of the burnt offering, meaning the daughter, Malchut, who is called this, and Torah, who is trampled over and lowly in the exile. The burnt offering rises on all the degrees above. As it is written, many daughters have done valiantly, but you have excelled them all. Her ascent will be to Abba, to the right, to Chesed, of whom they said, he who wishes to grow wise should go south. Chesed is in the south, and Chochmah comes from there, since in Gadlut, Chagat de Zeranpin became Chabad, Chesed de Zeranpin became Chochmah, Abba, and hence Chochmah is from the south, Chesed, from which comes Chochmah, which is the letters Koach, Ma. Zeranpin is Havaya of Alephs, which is 45 in Gematria, and Chesed, which became Chochmah, is its force. 36. Indeed, for this reason it was said in Moses, who caused his glorious arm to go at the right of Moses, since his bride, called an arm of magnificence, Tiferet, will have wholeness only in her. This is so because when he is whole in her, in Malchut, it is said of him, with him I speak mouth to mouth, in plain view, and not in riddles. In plain view is as a bride undresses from her garments, and unites with her husband in proximity of flesh, in her 248 organs, and does not cover even one of her organs. This is in plain view, which amounts to 248. All the questions, which are the dinim, are in the clothes of Malchut, which are called squares of gold. This is so because when she discloses the Chochmah on the left line from Bina that returned to Chochmah, she dresses in those garments, so the outer ones will not be able to suckle from her. However, when she unites with the right, with the Chochmah on the right line, Chesed that became Chochmah, who is Abba, as it is written, who caused his glorious arm to go at the right of Moses. She undresses from all these garments because the disclosure of light of Chasadim needs no clothing, as there is no grip there to the outer ones. Also the light of Chokhmah on the right line, which is upper Abba Ve'ima, is the light of Chasadim, called pure air. She undresses from her garments and unites with her husband, means that when she is to Moses' right, there is no fear of external ones, and she unites with Moses, Zeranpin, and her husband without any clothes, in proximity of flesh in her 248 organs, meaning with disclosure of her chasadim, called 248 organs, corresponding to the 248 positive mitzvot, which are chasadim, and the 365 tendons correspond to the 365 negative mitzvot, which are gvurot from the left line. And when it was said in plain view, which is 248 in gematria, it is to show that she discloses the side of Chokhmah on the right line, as in the 248 organs of Chasadim. 37. First, this sight appeared to Moses, of which it was said in plain view, meaning Malchut, which is to him the great vision in the bush. The bush is mentioned 5 times in the Bible, corresponding to the 5 prinot, Chub Tum, in her garments, which extend from the left, as it is written, in a blazing fire from the midst of a bush, etc. And now this vision appeared to him in the 248 positive mitzvot, in Chasadim, which are in the 5 books of Moses, in 5 prinot Chub Tum de Zeranpin, who is called Torah. It is written, and not in riddles, which are her garments, extending from the left line, in which all the prophets saw. This is so because it is not the conduct of the bride, Malchut, to be disclosed in proximity of flesh, without the garments that extend from the left, except to her bridegroom. Moses, who was looking at the illuminating mirror from Chasadim de Zeranpin, but the rest of the prophets were looking at a mirror that is not illuminating in her garments, which are called riddles, as well as squares of gold. And she was not seen without these garments. 38. At that time, the words, and they were both naked, the man and his woman, will come true in them, in Zeranpin, who is called Moses, and in Malchut. And they were not ashamed, as were Adam and his woman prior to the sin. This is so because the mixture of bad, the mixed multitude, the evil question, meaning evil dinim, has already been removed from the world. This is the nakedness of the Creator and His divinity, the nakedness of Israel. Even more so, it is the nakedness of Moses. They are nakedness from your law, Malchut, for which the secrets of Torah must be covered. As it is written, the glory of God is to conceal a matter, until He removes it from the world. Also, there are no kings but Israel. As it is written, all of Israel are the children of kings. At the time of the end of correction, it is said, and the glory of the kings which are Israel is to explore a matter. The loyal shepherd, Moses, said, Blessed are you for the Atik Yomin, Ancient of Days, Ketel, as from there you are as a branch that spreads from the tree, and so are the souls, branches from him. 39. Moses, the loyal shepherd, said to the Tnaim and to the Amoraim, Certainly the offering, the sin, and the blame are 3 mitzvot, 3 fathers, meaning Chagat. Complete is the queen, Malchut, who is an organ of Zeranpin, his tenth Sphira, completing each organ of Zeranpin, since Malchut was taken from Zeranpin and was built into a complete Partzuf. It follows that Zeranpin is lacking the Sphira of Malchut, and as it is generally lacking from the Malchut, it is lacking from her in each of his elements, since each particular Sphira consists only of 9 Sphirot, and not of 10. Hence, when the Malchut rises and joins Zeranpin, she complements each of his elements into 10 Sphirot, complementing each of his organs. It is similar to the first day of a festival, when the offering for seeing is sacrificed, by which the Malchut rises and complements each of the organs of Zeranpin into 10 sfirot. 10. One who did not celebrate the first good day of a festival, who did not bring a vision offering and a festival offering to unite the Malchut with Zeranpin, once the festival is over and he did not bring, it is said about him, that which is crooked cannot be straightened, and that which is lacking cannot be counted. This is a chatat, a sin, that detains the offering, for by not bringing the vision offering, he detained the ascent of Malchut to Zeranpin, which is the offering. Chet, sin, is male, and chatat, another word for sin, is female, and both have the same meaning. Sometimes the chatat is perfumed, meaning the sin, and departs from the offering, no longer detaining the malchut from ascending, through a male goat. As it is said, and one male goat for a sin offering. That is, if he brings a sin offering, a sacrifice. Malchut rises to Zeranpin and to Bina through the right line, Chasadim. Chatat means the sin that makes the left line prevail over the right. They quench one another, and Malchut cannot rise to Zeranpin. Through the sin offering, the left line is corrected into being included in the right, and Malchut can rise to Zeranpin. 41. The iniquity that brings hanging guilt with it grips to both of them, as one who grips to both and hangs between them in the middle, blemishing the middle line, which includes right and left. Everything hangs until Elijah arrives and separates Malchut from the klipot. This will be at the end of correction. Thus, the hanging blame grips to both of them, blemishing the right and the left, until the Sitra Achra is given his food, and bribery with a hanging blame, offering that he sacrifices. At that time the Sitra Achra will part from there, and the organs of the bride, the two lines, right and left, of Malchut will draw near to one another. This is so because such are the blames and the sins, like attachments that cling to the lung, membranes that attach the lobes of the lungs to each other, and do not let Malchut fly and rise up to Zeranpin, to blow in the spirit of holiness. 42. A lamb is for an offering, as it is written, an unblemished male lamb, meaning whole, for it is an offering, which is on the right. Is a lamb to the right and a male goat to the left? As it is written, one male goat for a sin offering, where izim, goats, indicate dinim, azim, fierce dinim, which are on the left. There is a male goat and there is a male goat. One male goat is for the Lord, and one male goat is for Azazel. As it is written, and Aaron placed lots on the two male goats, one lot for the Lord, and one lot for Azazel. In the male goat for Azazel, it is said of Esau, a hairy man. It is considered heavy, taking and sucking all the yeast in the blood, which are boils, scabbiness, psoriasis, and every kind of leprosy. It is written about it, the male goat shall bear on itself all their iniquities to a deserted land. Their iniquities has the letters of iniquities of a whole one, being the heart, which is called whole. At that time he parts from mingling with the heart, which is Malchut, and then he is perfumed. And he, Azazel, is heavy with those iniquities that he carries on him. He is not light, able to rise up to Jacob, who is a whole man, Zeranpin. 43. A male goat for Azazel is on the left, but where does the blame hang? 44. The right and left Chag, Chesed and Gvura, grip to the middle pillar, like a body that grips between one's two arms, like an eagle that two wings grip to it, by which to fly. Since the face of an eagle is the middle line in the four animals, which include right and left, and like a dove, Malchut, the two wings cling to her. where she is compared to the Torah, and her wings to the positive mitzvot, right and chasadim, by which she rises and flies upward to Zeranpin. Similarly, the negative mitzvot which are left and dinim, her traps, are like birds that cling to a tin, and all her traps that detain her from flying up to Zeranpin and to Bina. These are called the attachments, meaning membranes that cling to the lobes of the lungs. These membranes detain the lobes of the lung from breathing. 45. Such is the blame Israel gripped to the wings of divinity, which are the animals that carry the throne, the chatat, that hinders the rising of Malchut in them to the Creator, Zeranpin, through the merits of Israel, whose sins detain her and make the wings heavy. The blame is the mother of the mixed multitude, an attachment that clings to the throne where the queen is, and not only to the wings, like the chatat. She does not leave her to rise from the exile, and the merits that Israel perform cling to her to raise her from the exile. Hence she remains in the air, like an attachment that is hanging in the air. This air is the middle pillar, and she hangs like an attachment in the middle line, Zeranpin, due to the blame, and she cannot unite with him except through a blame offering. This is why it is called a hanging blame, for it is hanging in the air. Thus, blame depends on the righteous, zzsolt de Zeranpin, where he blemishes, and where he corrects the guilt offering. He is gripped between heaven and earth, hanging between Zeranpin and Malchut. Hence, it is called a hanging blame. The place of the chatat is on the left. It blemishes the wings of divinity, the animals that carry the throne, the Malchut, and not the throne itself, but the place of the blame is in the middle line, in Tiferet or in Yesod, and it blemishes the throne itself.
בתפארת או ביסוד, והוא פוגם בכיסא עצמו. 46. חטאת היא יותרת הכבד.
46. Chatat is the surplus of the liver, since it lies heavily on Malchut with sins from the filth of the iniquities of Israel. As the liver lies heavy on the yeast, which is the blood, on the arteries of the heart, those sins lie heavy on the wings of divinity, which are the positive mitzvot, which are similar to the wings of a dove. The negative lie heavy on the positive. When in the iniquities of Israel are more than the merits, it is said in the Torah, which is a body, Zeranpin, and it will cast truth to the ground. And Malchut yells, "The Lord has given me into the hands of those against whom I am unable to stand. She has fallen, and she will not rise again." 47. For this reason, the Ta'anim and Amoraim established prayers instead of offerings to remove the sins and blames from the Malchut. And for this reason, they established the morning prayer as a morning offering, and a noon prayer as a twilight offering, and the evening prayer as the internal organs and the tallow that would be consumed upon the altar all through the night. And the three patriarchs who established three prayers corresponding to the Merkavah, Chagat, to which they are tied. As it is written, the patriarchs of the Merkavah, which are the face of the lion, to the right, Chesed, the face of an ox, Gvura, and the face of an eagle, Tiferet, corresponding to which there are three prayers. A perpetual fire shall burn on the altar. 48. And Isaac spoke unto Abraham his father, and said, My father. And he said, Here I am, my son. And he said, Here is the fire. Why was, and he said 3 times of Isaac, and 1, and he said, in Abraham. Isaac's 3, and he said, were corresponding to the 3 days of the act of creation, and corresponding to the 4th day in the act of creation is Abraham's 1. And he said, It is written, Here I am. my son. And when it is not written, and Abraham said, Here I am, my son, it indicates that he told him, Here I am, out of pressure. It corresponds to the words, Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven. There too, lights is written without a vav, indicating the complaining of the moon. 49. The words "and he said" that are written in this portion are more. Why does he interpret only 4 "and he said"? The other "and he said" that are written in the portion are concealed in thought. They are from the right, which extends from upper Abba Ve'ima, who are called thought, who are blocked, meaning chasadim that are covered from chokhmah. These 4 "and he said," however, appear in Chokhmah out of the darkness, disclosure of Chokhmah of the left line, which appears only with the darkness and the dinim that extend from there. And Isaac spoke unto Abraham, corresponds to the words, and God said, Let there be light. And there was light. And he said, My father, corresponds to the words, and God said, Let there be a firmament in the midst of the water, and let it separate between water and water. And he said, Here is the fire, corresponds to the words, and God said, Let the water be gathered. And he said, Here I am, corresponds to the words, and God said, Let there be lights. And he said, is a phrasing of bestowal. And Isaac spoke unto Abraham, his inclusion of Isaac, left line, and disclosure of Chokhmah in Abraham, who is the right line, and Chasadim. And this is the meaning of, and there was light. On the first day of the act of creation, of the inclusion of the left, which is the second day, in the first day, the right line, it was said, Let there be light. On the first day, thus, and Isaac spoke unto Abraham, who is the inclusion of left and right, is the words, Let there be light. And there was light. On the first day is the act of creation. And he said, My father is a separation, for he knew the right line as his root, and as upper water. And he himself was a son, and a branch to the right line, the lower water. This is why it corresponds to the words, and God said, Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it separate between waters and waters. And he said, Here is the fire and the wood. This is the parents of the dinim on the left line, which are called fire and wood, which correspond to the words, and let the dry land appear on the third day. This is so because due to the appearance of the dinim of the left line, Malchut became dry, unable to bear fruit. Thus, and he said, Here is the fire and the wood, corresponds to, and let the dry land appear. And he said, Here I am. In Abraham, Chesed. It is not mentioned that he had to say, and Abraham said, Here I am, my son. This indicates that at that time the left was ruling without the right, Abraham. This corresponds to the words, Let there be lights, without the vav, Chasadim, since at that time the left was governing without right. This is why the moon was without Chasadim that extend only from the right, complained. Thus, and he said, Here I am, my son, corresponds to the words, Let there be lights on the fourth day.
Amen.